Howdy y'all! Thank you for joining us today for this unboxing of Marvel Champions the card game Hero Pack, the character Venom. Kind of disappointed a little bit, I guess it is Venom, but it really should be Agent Venom, I guess. And sorry if the sound's a little bit off, but got this in, wanted to do this unboxing immediately and realized I forgot my mics at the shop, so just going to go right into it. So the nice thing about these little packs is this is going to be a complete deck, so if you want to just jump in, you can just play with just this deck as long as you have somebody else who has at least the core box so that you can just get right into it. But it does let us know here it is the complete pre-built Venom deck. It also gives us 29 new cards that can be added to any hero deck, so there will be 29 unique cards in here and then they are not unique cards, but cards that you can add in are new to the game as of this deck release. And it lets us know that the Nemesis will be in there, and it will be the Enraged Symbiote. Alright, and there's always a safety seal here so that you can tell if the product's been tampered with. As you can see, I already pre-cut this so that we can get right into it and see what's inside. So you should find a pack of cards sealed, and then you want to look underneath this flap and you want to pull out this. And what this is basically it is a poster which will be of the front art, but then it's also going to have any rules that you're going to find inside of there that may be different or maybe frequently asked questions. And then it kind of lets you already know that Venom is going to be a Justice built deck. So there's four aspects that can be built in, and this one is built in as Justice. Interesting pick. We'll see if it works out with him, which I guess it works with Agent Venom. Makes a lot more sense. Alright, let's get into this. Okay, so right at the bat here we have Venom himself, and this is his hero form. He's got a 1 thwart, a 2 attack, and a 2 defense. He is a Guardian and a Space Knight, so it's what I kind of figured had to be the last in the Guardian series. So I'm expecting to find the Star-Lord hero card in here in the basics, because we have not seen that yet, so we'll see if I'm right on that guess. And it says here you can control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword. So normally you're restricted to only having 2 cards that say restricted on them. He basically going to have a 3rd one now. And he also has symbiotic bond. It is a resource ability, which means when you go to use your cards, it acts like a resource. You can choose to take 1 damage, and you get to generate a wild resource. Limit once per phase. So you can take a damage to have an extra resource. Seems pretty good. And then his alter ego, I believe, is Flash Thompson. Yep. So like I said, Agent Venom, Flash Thompson. He has a 4 recovery. So this is where you would start out as. He is a soldier. You can control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword. So, alright, he's armed and ready. At setup, discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a weapon upgrade. Then add that card to your hand. So you get to start out with a weapon that you're going to be able to put on him if you want to. He also starts out with a hand size of 6 and 12 hit points. And I did skip over that. Yes, so he basically has a hand size of 5 once he goes over into hero form. Alright, the next 15 cards are going to be the cards that you have to have in your deck if you are playing this character. So when you go to build your deck, these 15 cards are included automatically, and you have to have all 15 in there. So we have Behind Enemy Lines here. It is a hero action, cost 2. Hero action event that lets you thwart. You remove 3 threat from a scheme. If you pay for this card using only the mental resource, confuse an enemy. Seems interesting. And we have 2 of those, so 2 ways to get rid of some of the threat off the scheme. Then we have Grasping Tendrils. When the villain initiates an attack against you, cancel that attack. If you pay for this card using only physical resources, stun them. So it sounds like this basically builds to if you have a bunch of different resources at this point, different types of resources down here at the bottom. Seems interesting. 2 grasping tendrils. Locked and loaded. Search your deck for a weapon upgrade and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. For free. Seems good. Run and gun. Ready Venom and each weapon upgrade you control. And there's 2 of those. Or 3 of those. Savage attack. Deal 5 damage to an enemy if you pay for this card using only... I ain't gonna lie, I don't remember what the name of that resource is, but the little squiggly lightning bolt one. This attack gains overkill. So should be 2 of those. His alter ego card here, Exhaust Project Rebirth 2.0. Choose to either draw 1 card or heal 3 damage from Flash Thompson. And then we got his multi-gun. It's a tech weapon. It is a restricted. It is a hero action. As a hero action, exhaust a multi-gun to choose one of the following. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Choose a player. Deal 1 damage to each minion engaged with that player. Or you can remove 2 threat from a scheme. Seems like a good utility card. Only one of them though, so you gotta hope to get that one out. Then we have when the hero interrupt. When the villain initiates an attack against you, draw a card. And then another restricted weapon, Venom's pistol here. When you use one of Venom's basic powers, exhaust Venom's pistol. Venom gets +1 to that power for this use. So you can be using that for attack or thwart. And he's got 2 of them. Alright, that's all 15 of his cards. So next we're going to see the Justice cards that most of these should be some of those 29 new ones that they were talking about. And usually it's always at least one new ally that is unique to be able to get in each of those decks. As we see here, we get Jack Flag here. Seems like a good Justice ally as he has a response that after he thwarts, you put an ammo counter on him. And then as a hero action, you can exhaust Jack Flag and remove 1 ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So it sounds like he's one of those characters where you're going to be thwarting or removing counters. But the nice thing is he could do damage without having to actually take the consequential damage for attacking, unless you just use him to attack. So it seems pretty good. We got Scare Tactic here, which looks to be a new one that I do not recognize. 1 for a hero action attack, deal 3 damage to a confused enemy, which we saw he had a way of confusing someone, or if you have another way to do confusion, seems like really good. Do 3 damage for 1. So there should be 3 of these. Usually when there's a new one, if it's a new ally, they'll just give you 1 of it. And if it's a new card they're adding into the game, they'll usually give you 3 of them. We got Making an Entrance here. Hero Interrupt. When your hero makes a basic thwart, it gets +2 thwart for that thwart. After that thwart ends, if your hero removed all threat from a scheme that way, you get to heal also. So this is a good way to heal without having to flip to your alter ego form. If you can manage to get it off just in time to remove all the thwart off of something. It doesn't say it has to be the main scheme, so some of those side schemes that have very little threat on there seems pretty good. So there should be 3 of these, because I think this is a new card also. Yep. Power of Justice. Typically see these in every single one of the decks. They got 1 for each of the aspects. So there should be 2 of these, because they're only maxed out to 2 per deck instead of the 3 per deck that you could normally have. And so they probably have 2 of these in there. But that is an old card that definitely has been in other decks. We have another gun here, a new one I think. Sonic Rifle. It is a restricted. It does have uses, so that means you can only use it twice. You're going to put charge counters on this, and every time you use it, it's probably going to remove charge counters. And then if all the charge counters are gone, it goes away. As a hero action, exhaust Sonic Rifle, remove a charge counter, confuse an enemy, or you could deal 3 damage to that enemy instead if it is already confused. But this works really good with that one that was looking to see if you have something confused, because now you can just confuse the enemy. And there's, like I said, it's new, so 3 of them. Alright, so that's all the Justice cards in the deck. Now we're seeing the basic cards. And the basic cards are cards that can be added into any deck. And just like I had already guessed, just because of opening all the other decks, I knew Star-Lord was the only one we had not seen yet. And here he is. We have Star-Lord. It's his basic one. And He costs 2. He can 2 thwart or 2 attack. And it says he gains ranged, which range basically makes it if they have some bad guys have the ability called retaliate. Basically, retaliate says that if you attack or damage this person, you would take 1 or whatever the retaliate number is in damage back. Range ignores retaliate. So basically, anytime he attacks, he's going to ignore retaliate. And he has a forced response that after Star-Lord enters play under your control, deal yourself 1 face down encounter card, which is a playback to his character, because his character is all about putting out more encounter cards on you. But I mean, 2 for a 3 hit point, they can thwart and attack at 2 damage each, and only takes 1 consequence damage for doing it. This seems like a really good character. And then the next 3 cards, these are ones I think are staples in every single deck, because if you haven't played the game before, every card on the bottom has typically just 1 resource. And in order to play a card like this for 2, you would have to discard 2 cards basically, because you'd have to discard 2 resources. Well, these have 2 resources on the bottom, so these are basically ways to pay for expensive cards. 2 for 1 basically. So you would basically, in my opinion, play with all 3 of these, because you're limited to only 1 per deck, so of each of these. So I would think you would play with all 3 of these cards in every deck. Resourceful is an old card I've seen before, but good for trying to pay for expensive cards. But they do give us 3 of these. Maybe Resourceful isn't. I might be thinking of a different card, because I don't remember one that gives you Wild Card, but I could be wrong on that. We have a side holster here. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. You can control 1 additional weapon upgrade that has the restricted keyword. I'm pretty sure this is a new one. We have 3 in there. We have a plasma pistol. Pretty sure this one's new also. But they may only be giving us 1 of them, because it is restricted. But it is a tech weapon. Has uses, so it means once it's used, it discards itself. Hero action, well, once it's out of counters, I should say, not just used. And it starts with 3 counters. As a hero action, exhaust plasma pistol and remove 1 charge counter from it to deal 1 damage to an enemy. Oh no, they gave us 3 of them. Cool. Alright, so right there, this would be everything you need to play your deck. I mean, there's more cards here and we'll go through them, but this is the entire deck. So you would basically just shuffle this up, and that would be your deck to play Venom. The next cards that are up in this are basically, there should be, I think, 5 of them. Well, the first one's an obligation. Every character has an obligation that gets shuffled into the bad guy deck or the encounter deck if you play that, when you play that character. So this is the one that you would have to shuffle in to the encounter deck if you're playing Venom. And it's Struggle for Control, since he was constantly fighting the symbiote to keep it under control. And what it does is if someone draws this obligation as an encounter, it automatically goes to the player that is the obligation. In this case, it goes to the person playing Venom / Flash Thompson. So the next cards, there's 5 of them. And they are basically the Nemesis, which we already saw from the back of the box, is Enraged Symbiote. And then it's going to have that Nemesis for that character's side scheme. So this is a side scheme. I'm not even going to try to say that. Klyntar Frenzy? Assuming that's what the symbiote's home planet is. I know they figured that out in the comics. So I guess that's what the symbiote's real name is. And then we have the Enraged Symbiote as his actual nemesis. Oh. Does this mean they all come out? First time I've seen this, so I guess this is a new thing. I'll have to look into it. I don't know if this means that when that nemesis comes out, all 4 of these go on you, or if it's just they're just throwing a bunch of them in there, but it may look like that. It is pretty easy to beat them. But yeah, there's 4 Enraged Symbiotes. So that's all 5 of the cards right there. So that's definitely a different take on what we haven't seen on a character yet. But yeah, so that's everything you would need. I know I said the deck was everything, but you would also need those. But that's everything you would need. And it lets you know that here, that's all you needed. So everything after this is just extra cards they throw in, just so that if you decide to switch to a different aspect, it's usually got some new cards that work well if you decide to change that. Like if you don't want to play it Justice, you want to go into the other aspects, then it gives you some cards to do that. Or if you just want some other cards to build into your other decks. Basically like a little mini expansion. And then on the back of that card, it lets you know, just in case you want to rebuild this deck, it lets you know every card that was in that deck. That way you can rebuild straight back to that deck. Alright, so we see one of the new cards for the aggression decks, and it's this one right here, which is a hero action that says exhaust a weapon upgrade you control to deal 5 damage to an enemy. So, if you're playing with a bunch of upgrades or you have some weapon upgrades, this would be really good probably in the Rocket Raccoon deck, since it does have a lot of weapon upgrades that come to mind immediately. And I know the person I play with plays Aggression Rocket Raccoon with weapons, so he's going to love this card. So there should be 3 of those. Another aspect is leadership. And they got welcome aboard here. Play only if you identify as a guardian trait, so it has to be someone who has the guardian trait. Or if your identity has the guardian trait. Max 1 per round. Hero action, reduce the resource cost of the next ally played this phase by 2. So, seems pretty good for the leadership deck since it's all about bringing out more allies. And there's, of course, 3 of those in there. And then the last aspect is protection. And they got Shake It Off here as a hero response. After a guardian character takes any amount of damage from an attack, give that character a tough status card. Seems pretty good. So we got 3 of those. And then we have a new basic card also, Crew Quarters. Play under any player's control. Max 1 per player. It's an alter ego action. Exhaust Crew Quarters to heal 1 damage from an alter ego. So if someone has to be an alter ego, you can sit there and basically help heal them up faster. And it comes with 3 of those. Alright, well, we'll get this sleeved up and do our typical playthrough where we will throw it up against the Rhino deck and see how it plays and take a look at it. So we'll go straight to that and try to get that out there so you can kind of check out the deck and see how it plays. But it looks like one I definitely think I want to try out. So we'll get that sleeved up and get to it. Other than that, thank you for watching and have a great day.